Opened the first time I laughed at my father's funeral. It wasn't a quiet chuckle. It was a full, unhinged cackle, the kind that makes people turn their heads. And that's exactly what happened. This is the story of a funeral, a family torn apart, and the laughter that started it all. It's about money, love, and the fine line between justice and cruelty. My father was a man of incomprehensible wealth, but he raised us with humility. That changed after his divorce and remarriage. His new wife brought 2 boys with her, and suddenly, our father was spending his money freely on them. But it wasn't just the money. It was the way they looked at him, like he was a walking wallet. It was the way my stepmother treated us, with cold indifference. Incident when my father got sick, my stepmother moved him to hospice without a second thought. She had every legal right, but it still felt like abandonment. We tried to push back, but it was too late. By the time we found out, he was already gone. To resolve we agreed not to fight over the money. We didn't need it, and we knew our stepbrothers did. But we couldn't let go of the way our father was treated. We couldn't ignore the fact that only his new family was by his side when he died. Reveal. Then came the funeral. My stepmother had full control, and she made sure we knew it. Our stepbrothers got long speeches, grand moments. It was all about making us look like we abandoned our father. But it was the stories they told that really got to me. One about how my father bought out a resort for them. Another about how he treated an entire restaurant. And the last one, about how he paid for my stepbrother's wedding and didn't allow him to even consider paying for anything. I knew that wasn't true. My father had given each of us a dowry, but my stepbrother had whined to his mother to keep pushing the budget up. Escalation. So when my stepbrother told that story, I burst out laughing. Not a quiet chuckle, but a full witch's cackle. He stopped to stare at me, as did other people. My sister quickly planted her elbow in my ribs, but the damage was already done. Since then, my father's side of the family has completely shut me out. None of them talked to me at the reception, and my stepmom and brothers have blocked me on everything. My sisters are telling me I should apologize to not lose my father's side of the family, but groveling to these people is not something I want to do unless I really am in the wrong. Aftermath. I know we never shared the details of our step-family's evil with the rest of the family, but I'd rather explain it to them than apologize. But my sisters think that will just blow everything up. Debate. Was I wrong to laugh? Was I wrong to refuse to apologize? Or was I right to stand up for my father, even if it meant losing my family? Judgment_CTA. So, what do you think? Am I the asshole for laughing at my father's funeral and refusing to apologize? Here's the expanded narration to append to your script, adding depth, timeline, dialogue, evidence, family reactions, counterarguments, aftermath, and a final moral debate. Clearer timeline. It started 5 years ago, when my father met my stepmother at a charity gala. She was a widow with 2 teenage sons, and he was a recently divorced man looking for companionship. Within a year, they were married. That's when things changed. At first, we were excited for him. He'd always wanted sons, and we'd only ever been daughters. But the excitement faded fast. 3 years into the marriage, my father got sick. It was sudden, a rare blood disorder that attacked his immune system. The doctors gave him 6 months. My stepmother moved him to hospice within weeks. We begged her to let us take shifts, to be there when he was lucid. But she said, "He's my husband now. I decide." The last time I saw him alive, he was too weak to speak, but his eyes told me everything. He was scared. And alone. Reconstructed dialogue. Stepbrother's speech at the funeral. My dad was the most generous man I've ever known. He bought out an entire ski resort for us one Christmas, just so we could have the place to ourselves. He treated an entire restaurant to dinner because the waiter dropped a drink. And when it came to my wedding? He wouldn't even let me pay for a single thing. Said it was his gift to me. That's the kind of man he was, selfless, always putting us first. Me, laughing, oh, that's rich. Really rich. Like, dowry rich. My sister, whispering, elbowing me, stop it. Now. Please. Stepbrother, glaring, what's so funny? Me, standing up, nothing. Just remembering how Dad gave all of us a dowry, same amount, no strings. But you? You whined to your mom until he upped your wedding budget 3 times. And now you're lying about it at his funeral? Evidence details, we had the account statements. The dowry transfers were dated, equal amounts to all 5 of us. But then, 3 months later, there was an extra $200,000 transferred to my stepbrother's account. My sister found it when she was helping Dad organize his files. For wedding expenses, the note read. Dad's handwriting. And the hospice records? My stepmother had listed herself as his sole emergency contact. We weren't even notified until after he died. The hospice director told us she'd signed a DNR without consulting us. She said he wouldn't want to suffer, she'd said. But Dad had a living will. It was in the safe. We found it after the funeral, signed, dated, and notarized. He wanted us there. He wanted tubes and machines if it meant more time. Family reaction section, my aunts and uncles? They're devastated. Not at my stepfamily, at me. My Aunt Linda pulled me aside at the reception. You've always been dramatic, she said, but this? This is too far. My cousin Jake, who's usually the peacemaker, just shook his head. You're burning bridges for no reason. My sisters are split. One wants me to apologize, just say you're sorry, and move on. The other? She's furious. They deserve this, she hissed. They treated Dad like a piggy bank. But my grandfather? He's the one who scares me. He hasn't spoken to me since the funeral. Just stares when I walk in the room. Like I'm a stranger. Counter-argument from the other side, my stepmother's sister showed up at the reception. She cornered me near the punch bowl. You think you're the only ones who loved him? She spat. You think you were there when he was sick? You think you held his hand when he couldn't even recognize his own name? You have no idea what we went through. And my stepbrother's wife, she's the quiet type, but she emailed me the next day. You're grieving, she wrote. But so are we. And laughing at his funeral? That's not grief. That's cruelty. Aftermath, the fallout was immediate. My stepfamily cut me off, no calls, no texts, nothing. My dad's side of the family? They're treating me like a leper. My cousin's wedding next month? I wasn't invited. My aunt's birthday party? We'll send you the gift list, my sister texted me. But the worst part? The guilt. Some nights, I wake up thinking, what if they're right? What if I was wrong to laugh? What if I should have just let it go? Final moral debate and specific judgment question. Here's the thing, I know my dad. He was frugal, stingy, even. He'd argue with the grocery store over a dime. The idea that he'd just hand over hundreds of thousands without a fight? It's laughable. Literally. But was the funeral the place to call them out? Was it worth losing my family over? And here's the question I can't answer, if my dad were here, would he be proud of me for standing up for him? Or ashamed of me for ruining his funeral? So, what do you think? Am I the asshole for laughing at my father's funeral? Or was I right to call out the lies, even if it cost me everything? Timeline reconstruction. The timeline is what makes the conflict feel less like a misunderstanding and more like a pattern. First, there was trust, a key given for emergencies. Then there was access. The apartment became available whenever the sister wanted to blur the line between borrowing and ownership. Then came performance. Friends were invited into a space they had no right to enter, and the lie became easier to maintain because nobody challenged it at the door. The evidence. The strongest evidence was not a dramatic confession. It was the ordinary paperwork that had been ignored the whole time, the lease, the rent, the bills, the key, and the fact that every adult in the room understood whose home it actually was. Those details matter because they turn the story from family drama into a boundary violation.